Suresh, I, Dr. Pradeep Kumar Srivastava, welcoming to all of you in my Water Resources Engineering class. Today's topic is the unit hydrograph and its determination. And next topic is the estimation of runoff. Hereby, when we are measuring the rainfall and preparing a and flood estimation, when we are preparing a flood estimation, then how we are measuring, how we are preparing hydrograph and what is its determination and how we are estimating the runoff which water has been collect to use our human life. So on this two topic we will discuss on this class. So let us start. A hydrograph is a graph showing a stage, discharge, velocity, or other properties of water flow with respect to time. When the stage is plotted against time, the graph is a stage hydrograph and which is the form of a stream gauge record, and when the discharge is shown against time, the graph is a discharge hydrograph. The latter being the most commonly used from the simply called a hydrograph. This model describes the various type of discharge hydrograph, hereafter referred to as hydrograph. So the various graphic features of hydrograph and the most common use of hydrograph in SCS work. In its simplest form, a hydrograph is a graphical representation of runoff rate against time. It shows the time distribution of runoff at the point of measurement or computation, reflecting the complex characteristic of the watershed by a single curve. On characteristic, the duration of the time of flow is nearby a constant of particular watershed regarding of the value of the peak flow from the specific storm, assuming constant storm duration. Water entry into soil is caused by the metric and gravitational force. Therefore, this entry may occur in the lateral and upward direction, as well as the downward, and the infiltration normally refer to downward movement. The metric force usually predominate over the gravitational force during the early stage of water entry into soil, so that observation made during the early stage of the infiltration and valid when considering the absence of gravity. If water infiltrates into a dry soil, a defined wetting, also called a wet front, can be observed. This is the boundary between the wetted upper part of the soil and dry lower part of the soil. And if water infiltrating into soil contained in a clear plastic column, so one can observe the progress of the wet front and mark weight. Front as they change with time. At present, it is impossible to measure the metric potential exactly at the weight front because it progressed to rapidly into the soil. However, one can measure. However, one can measure the amount of water infiltrated and the depth and the shape of the weight from and come to important conclusion about the entry of water into the soil. Infiltration is externally important because it is the determines so not only the amount of water that will enter a soil, but also determinant of the passenger. Chemical potential and pollute dissolved in it. The variability of stream flow depend on the source of the supply. If the source of stream flow is from surface runoff, the stream will be characterized by short period of the high flow and long period of low. How are no flow at all stream of this type are known as the flashy. If the basin is permeable, so there will be little surface runoff and groundwater and will be provided the stream with a high sustained uniform flow. These streams are known as the steady. So whether a stream is steady or flashy depend on the infiltration of the participation and snow melt. When it rains, some of the water in now it intercepted by tree or building. So some is held in low place on the ground, depression storage. Some soars over the ground to stream surface runoff, and some is evaporated and some infiltrates on the water, and that infiltrates a part of replenish the soil moisture deficiency, and if any while the remainder percolates deeper, perhaps become the groundwater, and the deeper perhaps become the groundwater. So depletion of soil moisture begin immediately after the rain due to the evaporation and transpiration. Infiltration capacity is the maximum rate at which a soil is capable of the absorbing water in a given condition So several factors control infiltration capacity. Antecedent rainfall and soil moisture condition. So soil moisture structure, especially using being the high during the winter and spring and low during the summer and fall. If the soil is dry, wetting the top of it will create a strong capillary potential. Just tender the surface supplementary gravity when the weighted the day's morning, the soil swell, so which reduce the infiltration capacity shortly after rain start. Compaction of the soil due to raindrop impact and wash of the material into soil. So opening which reduce infiltration capacity, and this is the especially important if the soil is dry. Compaction of the soil by animal, root trials, urban development, etc. Certain microstructure in the soil will be promote infiltration such as soil structure. So opening caused by boring animal, insect, the same rotted and other vegetable matter. So roast having decision, crack and other microscope and vegetable over which tend to inches and different because it promotes population of boring program and retain surface runoff. So person and compatibility by rent of decreasing temperature which increase water velocity reducing infiltration. Entrapped air in the unsaturated zone will tend to reduce infiltration and surface gradient. So infiltration capacity is usually greater at the start of the rain and that flow a dry period, but it decrease rapidly after the several hours in nearly constant because the soil become closed by the particle and swellings. Sage, a sandy soil as opposite to each and rich soil may maintain a high infiltration capacity of the considerable time. So this is the objective of the topic and now we will discuss unit hydrograph. It is a graph showing the rate of flow, discharge and baggage time passed a specific point in a river or other channel or conduct carrying flow. It can also called as a graph showing the volume of water and reaching a particular truthful. Such hydrographs are commonly huge in the design of sewerage, more especially the design of surface water sewerage and system and combined sewer. Rising limb. The rising limb of hydrograph, also known as the connection curve, reflect a parabolic increase and discharge from catchment area and typically in response to rainfall event, recession or falling limb. The regional limb extends from the peak flow and rate onward, and the end of the storm flow, that is the flow, direct runoff, and the return to the groundwater derived flow and base flow is often taken as the point and inflection of the research lump. So the reposition limb present the withdrawal of the water from the storage built can be basin during the better of hydrograph. Now peak discharge. The highest point on the hydrograph when the rate of discharge is greatest and lag time and the time interval from the center of the mass of rainfall access to take peak of the resulting hydrograph. So the time to peak interval from the start of the resulting and hydrograph and discharge, the rate of flow volume per unit per time passing specific. This is the runoff, discharge, peak discharge, hydrograph. Now discuss unit disk hydrograph, which are our topic. Hydrograph usually consists of fairly regular lower portion and that change slowly throughout the year and rapidly fluctuating the component that represent immediate response to rainfall and the lower slowly changing portion is termed base flow and the rapidly fluctuating component is the called direct runoff. This is the direct runoff. And this is also a unit hydrograph. So the amount of runoff resulting from 1 unit and 1 centimeter, 1 mm, 1 feet of rainfall excess is essential is a tool for determining the direct runoff response to rainfall. So once you know the watershed responds to one storm, so you can predict what is the response for other will look like. Basic assumption of unit hydrograph. The effective rainfall is uniformly distributed within the duration, and the effective rainfall is uniformly disturbed over the whole drainage basin, and the base duration of direct runoff hydrograph due to an effective rainfall of unit duration is constant, and the ordinate of DRH free directly proportional to the direct amount of DR of the each hydrograph. So for a given basin, the runoff hydrograph due to a given period of a rainfall and reflect of a boundary and physical characteristic of basin, time and wind. Procedure of the derivation of the unit hydrograph for hydrograph. So this is the type 1 procedure is written, and what is the procedure? So hourly it is the measurement taken, observed hydrograph. Now Solent, step 1 compute DRH, and step 2 compute 6-hour unit hydrograph. Observed hydrograph and direct runoff and worthless of the unit hydrograph. And this is the derivation of DRH of flood hydrograph from given unit hydrograph. This is the table. Type 3rd, derivation of our unit hydrograph from the given idea of the unit hydrograph. So if UH of the specified UH and UH by if UH of the specified UH is the variable, then we can date of the any other duration UH by using superposition technique. But the use of this technique is the limited, that is the required duration is the legal equivalent of the given. Duration, my unreal position. So given this the technique of the EG, use the compatible regarding. And this is the this is the derivation of frequency technique from the given this data. This is the unit of step 1. See the given Gaussian and then two frequent give this is table, and for dry soil. So infiltration rate, it is the most soil infiltration rate, and F is less. So maximum rate of water absorption by the soil. So infiltration capacity maximum. Now infiltration capacity. So maximum capacity of the water absorption by the soil filled capacity. Run of the generated by the rainstone, the occurrence quantity, the dependent on the characteristic of the rainfall event, that is the intensity, duration, and distribution. So runoff can be detailed as the portion of the participation that make it is the way towards river or ocean and its surface and subsurface flow. Surface runoff mean is generated either by rainfall, snowfall, by the melting of the snow or the glacier runoff, that the portion of the rainfall progression water which leave the field either a surface or edge subsurface soha and its flow. So when rainfall intensity reaching the soil surface is less than the infiltration capacity, all the water absorbed to the soil. As rain continuous soil becomes saturated and infiltration capacity is reduced to shallow depletion, being to fill with water, and then the overland flow start as runoff. Surface detention through detention storage, the amount of water on the land surface and transit toward a stream channel is called detention and storage surface detention. Type of runoff to surface runoff, the portion of the rainfall which enters the stream immediately after the rainfall, and it occurs when all loss is satisfied and rainfall is still counted and rate rainfall and greater than the infiltration rate. And next, subsurface runoff, the part of rainfall which first reaches into the soil and moves laterally without joining water table to storm river The ocean is known as the subsurface runoff. The surface runoff process. So as the rain continuous water reaching the ground, the surface infiltrates into the soil until they reach a state where the rate of rainfall intensity exceed the infiltration capacity of the soil. Therefore, thereafter, surface. So, what else? Details and the other depletion and filled with the water depletion storage. And after that, overland flow is runoff the generated. The process of runoff generation continuous long as the rainfall and intensity exceed. So intensity exceed up now information capacity of the soil, but slow by soon as the rate rainfall drop and below the actual of the infiltration. The runoff rate and volume from the area and mainly influenced by building. Now, Victor. So, climate factor, it is low rainfall, and it has a great effect on the runoff. That is a participation which occurs in the form of rainfall starts immediately as a surface runoff depending upon rainfall intensity while the generation in the form of now that result it so it has great effect from the runoff that is the participation and which occur in the form of rainfall start and immediately at the surface runoff depending upon rainfall intensity and while perspiration in the form snow does not result the surface. Rainfall intensity, it is the rainfall intensity the greater than infiltration rate and swell then runoff starts immediately after rainfall while it gauge of the flow of starts later. So this judge tend to rainfall in younger runoff. It is also expressed as the distribution coefficient near the outlet of the watershed runoff will be more direction of the prevailing wind. It is the direction of the prevailing wind and same as the drainage system and in results peak and low. produce a higher peak in a shorter route of out of moving opposite direction. Other climate factors. So other factors such as the temperature, wind velocity factor, humidity, annual rainfall, etc. affect the water loss from the watershed area. So physiographic factor, size of watershed or a strong watershed take longer than for draining the run of the blick. Then Stoneler watershed and the important area wise. A space of watershed. So runoff greatly affected by shape of watershed, and shape of watershed is generally expressed by the term from factor and components, coefficient from factor and ratio of sewerage by action length of interval and compensance coefficient. So ratio of the parameter watershed is different. Now watershed to the circumstances of the circle house and compensate you to circumstances of circle and whose area equal to the area of watershed. Two type of shape, fan shape and produce higher runoff very yearly. Form shape tend to produce less runoff. So slope of the watershed, it has to be complected, effort, and it controls the time of the lower hand and flow and time on concentration of main rain and rain of the ocean. So rain orientation watershed and this affect the evaporation and transpiration losses from the area and the work south orientation affect the name of melting the collected snow. Now it is rain because a long dry salvin fresh filtration. So it is a term run occurs after a long dry well when the infiltration rate is more and hence the contribution length runoff soil type. So its filtration rate vary with top of soil and so runoff the grade affected by soil type. And topographical characteristic, it includes those topographical and topographic feature which affect the runoff. So undulating and has greater runoff flat land. And drainage destiny. If we identify as the ratio of the motor channel strength in the water state, it's available. So it is the available and storage characteristic depression, poise, the storage characteristic depression, ponds, snake and prawns after consumption. Measurement. River discharge are the volume, flow rate throughout a river. The river discharge, the volume flow rate through a river cross section is the perhaps the most important single hydrological quantity. The measurement of river discharge are required for flood hazard management and water resources planning, climate and ecology study, and clampers with the transboundary with the agreement. The discharge of a river relation to volume of the water volume through a single point within a channel at a given and understanding no understanding this information is essential for many important issues across the broad range and classes include single well water, Blackman, and even and this is even one important to success across broad range of the cells included. So global water bivalence and this is the stream flow measurement technique, hardly classified into two categories, either direct and determined and indirect determined. So direct determine of storm discharge as a velocity method, so different time and electromagnetic method and direct method and in inorganic method and velocity of the method of the dilution technique and the electromagnetic technique and the ultrasonic method. First, the discharge is given a stream and is related to the elevation of the water surface and through a series of careful measurements. It is the next step. The stage of the stream is observed letting a discharge estimated by using a provisionally and mark. So state discharge relationship and the observation of the state is easy, experience and to be this observation of the star is very expensive and the desired continuation reading can be even. The observation of the state is easy, expensive, and the desired continuous reading can also be obtained. And this method is discharge determination of the stream adopted universally stream gauging. Stream gauging as the technique, huge atmosphere, the volume of water and flowing through a channel per unit time and generally referred to a discharge, stream discharge. It determined by the relationship between stream the velocity of the channel area. The most common and direct method of estimating discharge is the velocity area method. And this technique requires measurement of stream velocity channel with the depth of water and how to cross stream vertical section, and the measurement velocity in river is achieved using instrument such as the current meter. So, dear boy, you have read related to topic, and I want to ask some MCQ. So please give the reply of MCQ. A multi-purpose reservoir is the one which there is a four answer has given in your screen and one is correct. So please give me correct answer. Yes, correct answer is B. So planned and constructed to serve various purposes. And next question, a rain gauge should be preferably be fixed. So which is correct answer? Maybe, but correct answer is C, in an open space. Next question. A repelling Gyan is illigrate. So which are correct answer? Yes, correct answer is the A, pointing upstream. Now, a hydroelectric scheme operating under a head of activator well and be classified as. So which are correct answer? Correct answer is C, high head scheme. And next question, a hydrograph is a graphical representation of, yes, which is the correct answer? Yes, correct answer is A, rainfall intensity and time. Next question, a land is known as a waterlogged. Question answer number C, capillary image reach to be root zone of plant. And next question, 75% index of the wetness means, my dear boy, means correct answer is B, a rain deficiency of 30%. And next question, a current meter used to the measure the, yes, correct answer is A, velocity of flow of water. Now a deep well, always deeper or shallow well. It is correct answer is B, has more discharge than a shallow well. And last question, a divide wall is provided. So, which is correct? Correct answer is A, at right angle to the axis of wear. And this is the references has been taken from internet, and this is references from the concerned book. This is both references by books and internet connection. And thank you very much for taking interest in my class. You are welcome in my class tomorrow.